I sometimes like to segue these videos into one another, and I vaguely remember a headline or review that said Rocko's Modern Life is like Ren and Stimpy, but not as good. So, happy, joy, it's time for the worst episode of Ren and Stimpy. This worst episode is so easy, so I really want to cut to the chase. I actually dare you to fight me on this. The worst episode of Ren and Stimpy is Hard Times for Haggis. This season 3 episode starts with an unfamiliar character, Haggis McHaggis, creator, main character, writer, director, and everything else for the show The Scotsman. Each day Haggis waits on the edge of his seat for his time slot so he can laugh at his own jokes. And boy does he get a laugh out of The Scotsman beats his dog. But on this fateful day, The Scotsman was interrupted permanently to bring audiences the Ren and Stimpy Show. And in one fell swoop, Haggis lost everything. Ren and Stimpy were everywhere on every channel. They even moved into his beautiful and luxurious home. Homeless, Haggis McHaggis leaned on his loyal fans to help him stage a comeback, but all of them were too busy watching the Ren and Stimpy Show. When Haggis was surviving on birdseed in the park, Ren and Stimpy were living the good life. It's probably the best we've seen them live in the whole show. There are no caveats to their success and happiness, there's no trade. There's no danger, really. These best friends get to sit on their asses all day and oversalt their food. Haggis is the one alone and doesn't even have his faithful companion. His dog Wacky goes great lengths to relieve this frustration on Haggis McHaggis merchandise. No one wants Haggis anymore, especially Wacky. To be fair, each episode of The Scotsman was Haggis beating the character Wacky was dressed up as. But this gruesome sight was enough to push Haggis over the edge. He contemplated ending it all until he was turned on to Rent-A-Thug and began contemplating revenge instead. With the help of his 2-for-1 henchman, Haggis hijacked the Ren and Stimpy Show and put on a copycat puppet show. Clearly Haggis still had the creative juices flowing through him since the producer who fired him loved what he put on. He loved it so much that he fired the real Ren and Stimpy and hired Ben and Stumpy in their place. The episode ends with all three of them back in the sweet, tender grip of poverty. This episode isn't Ren and Stimpy. They're barely in it. Yes, it's the meta episode about the Ren and Stimpy Show that the characters act in, but it lacks the true cartoon heart of another episode where Ren and Stimpy are at the forefront. There are a handful of meta episodes about the Ren and Stimpy Show, but I guess they all kind of fall flat for me. The one I remember best is a visit to Anthony where they hang out with a fan and have to keep him from throwing a fit so his dad doesn't kill them. But even that one felt like a regular Ren and Stimpy survive hardship episode with its own merits, and I still feel nothing for it. I know I definitely don't care about Haggis McHaggis, so watching him be sad and then mad for 20 minutes didn't really do it for me. What it comes down to is the episode not placing the Ren and Stimpy staples first. It's not gross enough and it's not weird enough. That's the bare minimum, and the premise isn't really outlandish enough to take the leaps required. Because that's when Ren and Stimpy shine brightest. When the episode truly embraces weird and goes balls to the wall. That's when I can lose myself and find myself all over again when the show blindsides me with an unexpected gag.
Call the police.
Even though it's a 20+ year cartoon and everything's been done before, I still get surprised. I don't hate this episode, but it is the worst. I love when recurring characters pop up in different roles. This one, for example, featured the fireman that's obsessed with beating up circus people. And I really appreciate how the whole ending is a callback to a previous episode. In Stimpy's cartoon show, Ren told Stimpy that cartoons weren't real and they were only puppets. They did that outright. Ren and Stimpy's good at payoff most of the time, and I really want to talk about how much I love it. So let's get out of here. But before we go, why don't you tell me your best and worst Ren and Stimpy? Join me in the next video when I talk about my love and adoration for it. And if you want even more videos like this one, subscribe to Stunt Club Soda and keep coming back for those uploads.